in cerca della gloria,
Here we
in
go.
cerca della gioia,
Caroline.
in cerca della
Is this when the nerves kick in?
New River Community Action, right?
Yes, New
All
River
right.
Community Action. Well, we were New River Community Action. We are officially in the process of changing our name.
What's it gonna be?
Causeway Community Action.
Why that?
It's a bridge.
Tell me about it.
So it was decided by our board. They decided we were looking for something that shows a little bit more of to the community of what we're trying to do, which is be that bridge of the community to help them find the way that to like find those resources, as opposed to New River Community Action, New River Community Service, New River Valley Community Services, New River this, New River that.
How long has New River Community Action been in the community trying to serve? You know, like brand change is hard.
It is.
Like I hate brand
and we
changes.
moved buildings too at the same time. So everybody's like, "Oh, a new community action." We're like, "No, it's still us, y'all." So
I actually had a chance to sell that building that y'all had on Roanoke Street.
yeah.
I was in the running for that and didn't get that. I'm kind of hurt. Because of that.
I'm so sorry.
But hey, you know, I'll always move from a place of abundance in my life.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you get opportunities that you never thought you'd get, and there's moments you think you deserve. And so it's all a wash.
Yeah.
It's all a wash in the end. But so, I mean, I know you probably weren't involved in those decisions.
No.
But, like, what do you think was going through their mind that they needed to do that? I mean, why? I mean, so you're hearing the stories. Why?
Yeah.
So tell me why New River Community Action, you know, is changing their name. And tell me the name again.
Causeway Community Action.
Causeway.
Yes. So they
give
were.
me the background on this whole
So, you know, we
situation.
were looking for a word that means bridge. So, I mean, like, that was kind of the thought process, because, like, we all talk about it all the time. That is kind of one of the things we all say. One of the things we really believe is, like, we are a bridge. I even talk about it in, like, with my program and what I do. Like, I'm going to be a bridge for you all. I'm helping to, like, connect you to everything. So it's about that whole piece of forming those connections, and very much the hand up, not the hand out. We're going to be the bridge you walk across. And that all makes perfect sense. And I love that imagery. We love all of that behind it.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So
I've always been in that situation. You know, I've had some hands up, and I'm looking to do the same.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking to grab somebody that
Exactly.
is looking to climb in their life and pull them up to the next level.
Exactly.
Type thing. So tell us kind of what you're up to every day in your role.
Okay. So my formal title is I am the whole family lead coach. So I actually run a program. I am the main coordinator for a program. Right now, the only staff member of the whole family program. So it's a 2-generation program that works with families. Like, I work very closely with parents and children, but especially the parents, to go for new educational opportunities, new job skills, new ways for them to figure out financial literacy, so that we can, like, help them move forward in their lives to make sure we're breaking that generational cycle of poverty for those kids. So I get to be in the houses every day. Like, I spend most of my time on the road, and I am one of the very few programs that's actually in all 5 counties, like me personally. So I'm in Floyd, I'm in Giles, Pulaski, Montgomery, Radford. I'm in all of them. So I get to go around, and I have about 20 families on my caseload right now, and they're amazing. I'm very lucky. They always say that they're very lucky to work with me. I'm like, no. I'm definitely getting more out of this than you all are. So I love what I do every day.
Being of service really provides you purpose.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's really where I am too, is, you know, I get to usher folks through a process of achievement.
Yeah.
And you're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So, like, let's just take us through the progress of, like, all right, you get someone in position A, and you're trying to get them all the way to position Z. Like, take us through, like, how they even get into
there.
your caseload.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I always tell my families, like, my job is to work myself out of a job. Like, my job is to get you to the point where you don't need me anymore.
Right. And
then we're friends, and I get to check in on you and continue that relationship that way.
Cheer for you.
Exactly.
In that way. Yeah.
So, my program is actually a back of the house program. You won't, if you go to the Community Action website, you will not see me listed, because we're not a front of house program, because there's actually a pretty substantial financial component associated with my program, that I have a large amount of client assistance funds that my whole program is like, we're going to break, like, I need to remove barriers for you all to be able to succeed. So I can do anything from pay for a power bill, help pay for rent, help pay for books, and getting in, like, help them to get their education. This week I've gone to the DMV to figure out what we need to do to get somebody's driver's license back. So like, my job is amazing because there's never a dull day. Like, every day is different. And some days I'm jumping from crisis to crisis, and those days I'm like, can everybody just?
Yeah.
And we seem to have like ebb and flows of like, everybody has the same crisis. So AEP is not everybody's friend one month, and then everybody's car's breaking down. And you believe it or not, like with a program like this where I'm so involved in their lives, everybody's having relationship issues is also a really big issue for me.
Right.
So, because it's about the family unit, like we are the whole family. So I'm not just working with the kids to help them, I'm not just working with mom or dad. I'm working with everybody and it's whoever they consider a family. So it could include all the way up to like grandma and grandpa, if that's who is in our family unit in that household.
Sure.
So we're working to just bridge those barriers.
So tell me, like I said, how do people get entry
In the program?
Like,
Yeah.
what's a qualifying candidate look like
Yeah.
for you?
So most of the time all of our programs for New River Community Action, you have to have some sort of percentage of poverty. You have to be in that poverty scale. So my program is under the 200% poverty mark. So as long as that is under that 200% poverty, you are eligible. And you have to have children in the home. It is a family program. So unfortunately, if the children are removed from the home for whatever reason, we can probably put them on hold for a little while to try and get the kids back as part of the program. But if that's not successful, we would have to close them out.
Gotcha.
So the kids are like, this is for the kids at the end of the day.
Right.
The whole family to succeed, but it's to make sure that next generation is moving out of poverty.
Gotcha. So you're trying to influence the adults of it to be able to at least get to a spot where you can educate the kids,
Yes.
and the kids don't just repeat and repeat.
Yeah, we're breaking that cycle. So
Gotcha.
that's the goal. And all of my families, and I come at it, and I have a referral form, and it is an internal referral. So any of the other programs that have families that they work with can make a referral to me. I primarily right now work with the two programs that have the most amount of like children with families. So that's going to be our CHIP program, which works with mothers and young children to kind of like help them with like health and things like that. And then our Head Start program, because Head Start's run out of Community Action as well. So they have lots of small children and lots of families. So
Head Start's running out of, okay.
yeah, we have all the Head Starts in the New River Valley are run out of our organization.
Gotcha.
So
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So as far as funding goes, how do y'all fund all this stuff for the most part?
Everybody's funding is kind of different. Like we're all kind of a hodgepodge of grants, obviously, coming out of like the community service board grant. We also we as an organization get quite a bit of money from that. But we also my personal program is funded through VDSS right now. So I have a certain amount that comes right now. I was this is a pilot project. So we're actually coming to the end of the pilot right now, kind of working on some advocacy stuff and trying to re-up the pilot. Our organization is very committed, so we're going to try and find money even if we are discontinued. We're going to try and continue the program through other grants because it is working so well for us. I'm seeing real results with families.
So tell me about some of your success stories.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe not, have to throw a name or something, but, just tell us where, you've picked this thing up and you got them to that and now they're off. So just tell us a little success story.
And I did tell my families that I was doing this, so everybody knows. So they all I got permission and everyone knows. I won't use specifics, but as far as the stories I'll use, I did get permission for this. So one of my success stories I tell all the time, I've got a family that I am so insanely proud of. I started working with them. They signed up right before I started. So the person was leaving. She was the last family she signed up. First family I started working with. So I really did start with ground zero with them. And because I've been doing this since April, I kind of mic drop quit my old career and decided to go into social work. So and when I started this in April, we started working together, and this family was just mom was so depressed. Going in there, she is insanely depressed. They lived with dad's family. They were the only ones paying for anything in this house, including all the back taxes that grandma and grandpa have just not paid. She had there were they're 5, 4, and 3. So they're in little stair steps. And she was just completely depressed. She was stuck there, no way to get out of the house, and just completely oppressed by all of this. And then we sat down and did a budget and found out how much worse it was actually than we thought it was. When we sat down and did the budget, we wrote everything down, and we found out that the way they were spending money and the way they were buying groceries specifically was putting them $600 in the red every single month. They were spending $600 more than they were making just on food.
Wow.
Yeah. And seeing that number kind of lit a fire in her. She was like, wow. So we talked about meal prepping, and that was kind of the start of everything, was seeing that budget. And she decided we were going to make some changes, and it wasn't me. We just did some basic things, pointing out some life skills. Let's write it down, and being behind her, cheering her all the way, just being like, you got this. You're amazing. You can do this.
Yeah.
And getting her in touch with community service so she can get some counseling and get some of those things. And so we started in April. By May, she had a job. They had been meal prepping enough that they were then not in the black anymore. And she's already gotten a promotion at said job. And they're on track right now to be completely paid off with all of their debt by March right now. So
that's awesome. I know for a fact that if you have some sort of system where you're tracking and measuring your money, and you can gamify your money,
yep.
you're going to be a lot better off. And I, not to feel like this is an ad or nothing, but Rocket Money really kind of has changed my finances. I've made a lot of money over time, but I've also spent a lot of money in a wasteful way. And that whole gamifying your money and being able to display your money in a way that, you can see it every day. You understand it. You might not enjoy looking at it, but you at least understand it. Understanding your money is so important.
She's gotten to the point where she loves doing the budgeting because she knows what's coming in and what's coming out, and they can see the progress they're making.
Yeah. And we're really in the generation of gamers, and you can game that whole scenario for sure. I go to Cookout way too much. So next month I'm not going to go to Cookout as much because it's costing me too much money.
Absolutely.
So that's a big deal. That's a real big deal.
It makes a big difference where you see where you're spending that money and where it's going to. That was life-changing for her. Seeing all that, just changing the way she was shopping was a massive thing. And that seems like such a small thing that you can do, but to sometimes, and some people who have never had the opportunity or had people behind them teaching them some of these life skills, they need those things, and those small changes make massive differences.
Money
in their
is
lives.
so hard. Money is so hard,
and we're not taught money.
We're not taught anything. They don't want us to know anything about money. They don't. They want us under control, in my opinion.
I'm interested. I haven't shared this with you guys yet, about what my past was, but I had an interesting crash course in adulthood going into this job. I was in residence life in higher education my entire life, so I've had a weird Peter Pan syndrome of I've never had to pay bills like that. I've never had to do internet or power or rent or anything. I lived on campus. All of it was done for me. So that was there were pros and cons to that, obviously, but crash course and figuring it out and figuring out with my families and being able to be authentic with them and be all right, I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out. What's the worst they're going to say is no.
Right. And sometimes having convenience and luxury before you're ready for convenience and luxury really cripples you.
Yeah.
It really does. It puts you in a spot where you're just ignorant to it all. And the only way you really get hurt because of your ignorance in that capacity.
Yeah, and it's been a crash course for me of just figuring out how to do some of these things, which was kind of weird. I'm sitting here in my early 30s and I'm learning how to do some of these things for the first time. But and I'm also offering life advice to other people who are supposed to be doing.
So we're learning together.
We're learning together. I think that I'm pretty successful with my families because I'm pretty authentic about it.
The fastest way to be an expert on something is start trying to teach it to other people.
Yeah,
and then you're like, oh well, I need to
actually know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you can transfer that knowledge because you got now real world experience too. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like a real estate agent trying to help someone buy a house that doesn't own a house.
It's hard, right? You've never been through that process. You don't know what it looks like.
How can you really trust them?
Yeah.
How can you trust that?
Yeah, I've got a family trying to buy a house right now, and that's who I was on the phone with when I was walking in. They were like, all right, we saw houses today. All right, this is what we're thinking. This is what we're doing. And I'm like, that's fabulous. We need also to talk with the realtor because I've never done this, y'all.
Yeah.
So I am happy to sit there with you. I'm going to be your coach. I'm in your corner. I understand the money parts of things. Like I'm in their corner and we're figuring it all out. But also like, I'm not the expert here. And I have no problems telling my families, I'm not the expert. Let's find us an expert who we can ask these questions to. Because I'm not afraid to say, I don't know what I'm doing right here.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty cool and awesome that there's a program like this in this community.
It's amazing.
And that, this organization exists in this community to help lift this community up. That's I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there's people like that available for folks here in this community. How can I help? How can we partner together to bring more community awareness around you, get you the funding you need?
You.
How can we cooperate or collaborate together to do some things? I mean, this might be a longer conversation than just this podcast, but I'm all for this particular type of thing. And everybody's beginning is housing, right? So that's what I do. That's the profession I'm in. So if there's anything that I can ever help you with or whatever it is, let's format a plan.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
That I could get in there and help these people as well.
Well, I don't know if Hunter told you the story of how I actually got here, but he was moving and found out that you had a van, and I was like, I would like a business relationship, please, so I can. That was at least the starting point, but I can think of all kinds of things that we could do together. That was my immediate in the moment of I see a need that can be filled right here in my I've got several families trying to move right now, so hello, can I?
Hey, look,
exactly.
So I would. If we could come up with some fair trade,
absolutely,
that we would allow you guys to come and get the truck, and you use it for the situations that you're in, and community, your logo on the truck, and so we're branding with each other,
absolutely,
and then find some way to be in community involvement together.
Yes. That'll be amazing. And
I would love to do food drives. I would love to.
We always can use that. Emergency assistance run out of our office too. And I don't know if you're familiar with all the programs that Community Action has, but we're this little hidden gem in a lot of ways of all the housing and homeless programs are out of us. Emergency assistance. So we help from everything from hopefully we can help with utility bills and as well as food a lot of the time, sometimes rent even, just depending on what our funding sources look like there. And so there's all of these different ways, and we're always looking for new partners and donations. And I'll go ahead and say it, we're always taking donations.
Yeah.
As a nonprofit, we're always taking donations. But I would love to figure out ways that we can. And my program is a little back of house, so it's hard to kind of get some of that exposure. And since I'm one of only 6 sites in the whole state right now. So one thing that also could be really helpful for whole family is if any of your listeners want to advocate for us, we're trying to get in the governor's budget right now. They've extended our program one more year. They leave us one more year for the pilot. But right now we're not being considered after that. So this program might only have one more year.
Well, that's just going to be how strong your lobby is, right? And how much noise you can make.
Yeah, and we are doing that. I personally have been part of the lobby and have been doing advocacy work and working with several of the state commissioners and some of the state secretaries to kind of advocate for our program. So it's been a pretty big push, but we're still working on it.
So Chris Obenchain is going to be somebody that you would certainly want in your corner.
Oh, absolutely.
For that. So I definitely could connect you there.
That'd be great.
I could, we could just find ways.
Absolutely. Anywhere I can tell the story.
Yeah.
That's all I'm ever looking for. And bring my families to tell the story because they're always willing to do it. And I've got some families that are helping us with the advocacy work as well. And they're just always more than willing to be like, this program is amazing. It's actually doing things. And a lot of times they're looking at the price tag of the program because it's a pretty expensive program. But as far as what the potential price tag is, but there actually are results. And I was getting into data with our data person this week and just seeing the amount of change, like I've had a 50% increase in income in my program of the families, like in totality from the beginning to now.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so you're getting them
They're
to a spot where they'll earn money and they can like maintain their life.
Yeah, that again, it's my job is to work myself out of a job. Like I want them to get
Yeah.
so far they don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, the benefits cliff is real. So like you get to that point where you're like, you just get over that hump and you, I don't know if you're familiar with the benefits cliff, but like you get to the point where all of your benefits just stop.
Yeah.
Like you hit that mark, but you're not necessarily totally ready for it. And so those are some real things that you have to navigate in figuring that out. That family I mentioned is navigating that right now as their income is increasing, but their SNAP's now gone. So how do we fix that?
Right.
My program can provide a little bit of support for that as well. So I buy food cards and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of amazing things that we can do.
It is hard. It's so super hard when you get accustomed to that and you get on to those things to have the courage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of courage involved
absolutely.
in having to be ambitious enough to go get your own thing that you can let this thing that's securing your life go.
Yeah.
So there is, but
Absolutely.
I'll choose freedom over security any day.
Yeah.
And the freedom of going out and the dignity that comes from you going out to do your own thing and provide your own life and earn the money that you need to survive. There's pride and dignity in all of that.
There absolutely is. And that's definitely what we're working towards. But I also do want to acknowledge that there's a little bit of privilege in that statement right there.
Yeah.
In that this is an assumption, so I don't know 100% your story,
Sure.
but like sitting there as a single white man, not a woman with 3 kids.
Sure.
And so some of those things are really big considerations.
Yeah.
So things like that SNAP, it might be the difference between like, I want to get there. And somebody was telling a story at the office yesterday that like their father would always try to give single mothers, he like owned a grocery store, try to give the single moms, trying to be nice, give them extra at the holiday time, to give them extra shifts, help them pick things up, give them extra money. Like he was genuinely trying to do it from a good place. But what he found out later was that none of them wanted it and he didn't understand. Well, it was because just picking up those couple extra shifts would push them out of benefits temporarily. And then it's a fight to get them back. And so like some of those things are really big considerations that you have to think of because it's a little bit of the bird in the hand, bird in the bush conversation too.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people are gonna never push past that that want and desire for that, and that's fine. Like if
and some of it's pushed past, and some of it's like that level of poverty that you get to is there's a fear in there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because sometimes people just don't believe they'll ever overcome.
No. And especially if you're from generational poverty, you don't necessarily know like what
believe
what it's possible. You don't know what it looks like. You've never seen it.
Yeah. If you can it's so easy to fall into the trap of the programming that you're in.
Yeah.
And just, people come to settle in to their situation and they just deal with their situation, and that's, that's a even thing there. There's no positive or negative to that.
They're just feeling
that's
subsiding.
just where they are.
They're just subsisting sometimes. Yeah. And subsisting is a hard way to live because you're constantly in crisis mode. And like, that's what I'm trying to get my family's past is getting past that crisis mode, past that subsistence mode to actually thriving and moving forward. Yeah. And I won't lie, there's a lot of times where it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like we try and they're all amazing. And like, I'm in their corner and they know that. And we're very much like, I just had to have a conversation with one of them. Like, we're thinking 5 steps ahead right now. I need us to stay 3 steps ahead. Like we can't think that far ahead.
Sure.
Kind of like trying to keep perspective on things as well. And
sometimes being those steps ahead are in your detriment.
Yes.
Like you really kind of just want to be 1 or 2 steps.
That's exactly.
5 or 6 steps is maybe
it's too far.
Yeah.
It was like, well, what do I do if this? I'm like, well, can we buy the house first before we start thinking about like how you're going to work on moving day?
Right.
Like, it's not that I don't love, like that's a very real concern. Absolutely. Like that is a real thing. Like put it on the list.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, you got to handle everything in the
process.
order of operations.
Exactly.
Here. Yeah.
Sometimes it's order of operations. And I think when you're in crisis mode, order of operations is something that's really hard. And I think that's a lot of what I do when they are in this crisis mode is I can walk in, kind of be that steadying presence and be like, okay, let's just talk about everything that needs to get done, and then we'll figure it out. It's okay.
So this is interesting because I wonder, like, I try to dissect things.
Absolutely.
Where do you think most things go wrong with people in this situation? Like,
That's
like
a good question.
there's a lot of, a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different ways, but you can pretty much group a lot of different things into maybe 5 different categories. It's how they were raised, what they believe, how they've used this to move forward, because there's that example of, well, my father was an alcoholic, so I'm an alcoholic, or my father was an alcoholic, that's why I'm not an alcoholic. So there's like, where you see it, and you can, it's most of this is traceable, right? Don't you
a
think?
lot of it is generational. Like a lot of what I see is that generational poverty. It's that constant, like, well, this is how we've always lived. We know how to use the system. We're going to do this. I know how to do this. It's not scary necessarily.
So they've come accustomed to it. That's just the box that they're in.
And that's my personal opinion. I'm obviously not like diagnosing a very large existential problem that we have in our country that probably has a lot of those things.
So where is that problem? Is it the family unit in general? Is it the school? Is it the education that we're putting them through?
That's a good question.
And that's a tough question.
Yeah, it is. It's a big question.
So
I think it's some of all of them, but how do you know where to start?
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of our answer to it in this program is, well,
do you have any faith-based things going on? Or
I don't personally. So I very much try to do that as a chameleon for my families. I try to meet them where they are. And that's pretty much everything. Like, you're asking, like, what do I see? And my immediate thought with that was, well, what I say to my families genuinely, and I have a couple things that they all hear, and they're kind of become my sayings. They're all real tired of it. They can recite them back. Right. But I talk a lot about, like, you're looking at somebody else's starting line. Like, we are starting here. I don't really care what happened back then.
Yeah.
I don't care where you've been. We are starting here, and you are ready for change. And so the only thing we're going to address is, like, if there's something that we need to address back there that's going to help you move forward, let's do that. But otherwise, like, we're going to put a period and we're moving forward. Like, my program is all based on, as far as like the referral process, I have it all based on the stages of change, and trying to use like that whole concept of, like, where are we at as far as, like, are you ready for change? So I'm usually leaving people who are, like, in, like, preparation, and they're ready for change, and, like, they're really starting to think about it. They're scared, they want to do it. Those are the people that I'm working with, the people who are not ready for change. And I've met some families with other chip workers and other Head Start ladies that they just weren't there yet. And it's not their fault. And I keep all the referrals, because if they might be there in a couple years, they might be there next week. But today they weren't there, and they're not ready to kind of, I don't sugarcoat it when I go in for a first visit. I'm like, this program is work. I am not just going to bring you handouts and books and fun things, and I'm not going to do all the little things. And, like, and all the programs are work. Like, all of our programs have things you have to do. But, like, as far as, like,
so there's assignments.
Yeah. And it's goal oriented. So it's assignments based on what they want to do. So I often will be like, your homework is. So, especially with some of my younger families, I have a family of 20-year-olds. Their mom and dad are both 20, and they have 3 under 3. And so that was a whole situation. And I love them to death, and I spend a lot of time with them, trying to help them kind of get to that next stage. Yeah. But they every day, like, I probably see them twice a week at least. And I'm like, all right, homework is today. So, and, figuring out where we're going, and some, like, their life crises change every day because they're 20, and the world is hard when you're 20.
So they're babies raising babies.
They're babies raising babies. And we've had that conversation, and they know that. So, and they're amazing. They're doing such a great job, and we're figuring it out. And every month it's getting better. And
here's the great thing about them being the age that they are, is their entire life is still in front of them.
Yeah.
They whatever they going through, they have a chance to really get on track, especially with your guidance. I feel like more people need to get into these type of situations at that age, until I mean,
Yeah.
besides like trying to figure it out on their own, like you giving them that hand up at
Yeah.
this point in their life is going to change their life.
And that's what I hope. And they're amazing. And like, again, I never would say like I am the one that is doing all of this.
Yeah.
I will take a little more credit with these two because I love them, but sometimes it's a little more hand holding associated with the 20-year-olds. Well, no, life is what life is.
Sure.
And they definitely know I'm talking about the podcast, and they're also very excited to be talked about on the podcast. So it was very cute.
Yeah.
I saw them yesterday. But they're hilarious because I had a train of thought that I was going with there that I think I've lost. But what were we talking about before that? You got anything?
Choo-choo.
But well, a little bit more about them. But like they're absolutely amazing, and like yes, they have all of this life ahead of them, but they also have already been through so much. Both of them, they've both kind of been in and out of the foster care system and had some real loss in their life. And baby number 2 and baby number 3. Baby number 2 was a preemie, and he was in the NICU for a little while. Baby number 3 was a super preemie. So I signed them up on June 30th. He was born July 2nd. He was due in October. So he was born at 25 weeks and 3 days.
So what kind of medical bill do these kids get stuck with
So-
that type of care?
One thing about that, as far as like them being in that level of poverty, is they are on Medicaid, and all the
Okay.
kids are immediately on Medicaid. And we actually just like literally this week got his disability figured out because he was so premature and like to the point where we weren't even sure if his eyes were going to develop for a little while there. We recently got he's free and clear in his eyes, so that's amazing. He can see and everything. So, but there were some really serious concerns there for a little while of would he be able to see? Would he be able? He's on oxygen still, so we deal with that all the time. And and their car broke down, so of course. So I'm kind of main chauffeur right now with doctor's appointments and things like that.
Wow.
And I mean, it's got to be done. He's a preemie, so we're gonna get him there, make it
That's
happen.
pretty cool that you're like that. That's how in depth you are with it.
I know
that's pretty
everything about my families. Like I'm really in depth in their lives and to their level. Like they choose to let me in to the
Sure.
level. Like I'm never gonna push past where my families want me.
Of course.
It's very much a how they're driven. But I've just gotten very lucky that like all of them have very much like opened up to me and been like, all right. As soon as we got past that, that's like here is everything, all of my shit. So let's go for it.
So it sounds like you have the people that you're working with have made the commitment.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's probably some families in there like in my world there's a lot of people that want the coaching
Yeah.
that come
Don't.
for the coaching but then don't take the coaching.
it. Yeah.
Do
I've
you
had
see
some
that?
of those.
Do you see
Yeah,
that?
I've had some of those.
Yeah.
There was one, and I hung on to this too long because it was more me of being like, I'm gonna get him. There was one family I never met from when I started, and I finally closed them in November. I was like, I haven't met you. I started in April. You will not. I've tried. She would text me, but anytime I would try to make. I made several trips to Giles specifically to see her, and then she would like ghost me. And sometimes people aren't ready for it. And especially a program like this, it's a large commitment. And it is going to be, I'm going to be in your face a little bit of like, all right, did you do the thing? Because that's my job. You're signed up for this, so we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
So you have goals. Your goals are my goals. So we're going to get to these goals. I'm a list person. I like checking things off.
Sure.
So we're going to check some things off the list. So...
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that's involved here from financial literacy to just figuring out the resources that they need from like food, power, rent. You said you went to the DMV. Like
I go all over the place.
So you're like really like you got the
Life
whole
coach.
thing, life coach thing. Yeah.
Life, all of life. I have so many random things. I mean, I've gone and bought pregnancy tests. I've gone and like everything, anything and everything. Everybody's been sick. I've gotten and bought more baby Tylenol in the last 3 weeks since we've gotten back from Christmas than ever in my life before. So yeah, like, everybody is sick. So I can do those things. Like I'm very lucky that my program is a little bit more unstructured as long as we can call it like removing a barrier. And a lot of things remove barriers. There's a lot of arguments to say those things. So it is anything from helping with a tax bill, which I did last week, to like random things. So which is great because I can help and I can make those things happen. But it is very much not it's a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah.
So they have to be meeting their part of the agreement of you need to be working towards these things. When I give you homework, and like homework's agreed upon, it's not me like bestowing it upon you.
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff is very communal. We are working together. I very much like I consider myself and use the language of like we are a team. And I even say like when another program is part of the family already, like the chip ladies especially, like I always say like I'm not coming in here to supersede them. I'm not coming in here to kind of like take you all away from their caseload. No. They have their expertise. I have my expertise. So we're going to be all part of a team that everybody is working towards the goal of getting the family to the next step of where they're going.
So if someone was listening to this and they were interested in what you had, could they come and ask for you specifically, or do they have to be involved with another program to get a referral to you?
Technically, they have to be involved with another program to get a referral to me, but I would never turn anybody away. That's just not who I am. If somebody really had some stuff, or if they wanted,
And if they met the qualifications of your program,
in theory, we would have some conversations. I would also see what else they like. Every single one of us, every one of our programs, like when you go through our central intake, we're going to find out what you're eligible for. So there's a lot of times where I am finding out that there are families that would probably be eligible for whole family, and like there are back end things that like people are talking to me about different families that they know because that person could be a good whole family in the future. I have people who just like on the street tell me about people they meet. Some of my families try to refer families to me too. So, and usually I try to like make sure, again, it's about that stages of change. If somebody's really ready to change, let's do it. We'll figure it out. But I think the reason we keep us back of house is because there is such a financial component to mine. We want to make sure that somebody has really dedicated, like they are ready to do this.
Yeah. I mean, just being observant to the local Facebook pages and whatnot, there's always somebody out there that posts about their struggle and what they're going through and needing help.
Yeah.
And I feel like they, I just don't, there's a lot of people that just don't know that y'all exist.
Yeah.
And we just need that to change.
We need that to change so much. Community action has so much help that we can. And I mean, everything's based on funding. So I think part of the problem sometimes is that we aren't able to do something as fast as somebody would like. Specifically thinking about like our rapid rehousing program. We get people off the street, but it's really hard when you've got 200 people on a list and you've only got 10 spots. So like we're working through it as fast as we can and get them in, get them out, get them off to try and get people so we can help as many people as possible. But at the same time, like we got a lot of that anger too of like, well, why aren't you helping me?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's the big deal, because everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
And
we all are, and everybody can use help.
And it's not fair. They got it and I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So like, that's one of those things that it's a big juggling act that you've got to deal with for sure. So how do they quickly find you? Like, as far as like, do you have online resources or, like could they walk into your,
I think walking in would probably be the fastest way to find me personally, honestly, because I'm pretty much jetting around all the time. But I think that as far as getting in touch with me, that would be fine. I have emails but our central intake, if anybody's ever looking for any kind of services, so homeless and housing services, if they need food, if they need electric help, if they need help with their kids, if their kids are looking for like a Head Start situation, calling our central intake line, just our main line, will get you through, and we can kind of help you to figure out what all of our services will apply there.
Well, we'll just link that up. We'll link
absolutely.
that in the video, get a website.
Yeah, I'll
whatever.
get the website and all that jazz and
Sure.
everything.
And we'll
so.
It'll be in the description.
Yeah.
I wish our community could see kind of some of the depths and the power of the people that we have here. And they could see that like that these folks are not ever people who are just looking for that handout. They're people who are looking for help and they need that help. And I see a lot of people day to day that like look down on the people that we work with and the homeless folks and all of that. And just hoping that one day that we can all move forward and not be kind of restrained by all those labels that we tend to put on people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I am a 100% believer in this community.
Yeah.
I'm all in on the New River Valley. I chose to live my life here because I thought this place was great, and I thought that the dynamic of this community would allow anyone to achieve what they actually were, wanted to achieve if they worked hard enough and they thought around the problems of their life well enough that this community will take care of its people and get you what you're looking for in life. So I totally believe in this community, and
it's an amazing community. And I haven't been here all that long, but like I'm all in for the New River Valley. Like I've never lived somewhere like here, and I very much committed to staying as long as possible and maintaining and building new relationships in the community. That is one thing that I would love to say, that is, if there's anybody that has something that they can share, a resource that they could work with, like you said, like the moving van, things like that. Those are huge resources that people might not know about. If there's anything like that in the community that could help others, like we're always looking for new relationships.
Is this you?
So yeah, New River Community Action. That's us.
I think we have so many ways to help each other.
Yeah.
I've got all these little advertising mechanisms on besides the moving truck.
Yeah.
And I feel like that.
Oh, I'm about any kind of advertising. I'm all in for let's do a food drive. Let's do.
And I've got these client events that you could be associated with, that we could have a charitable contribution
absolutely.
side.
That would be amazing.
Of it, where we're we're going to co-brand with each other in some way. Your logos are on my stuff, and then when we have client appreciation events, your presence there, or what'd you call it?
Causeway Community Action.
So Causeway Community Action is going to have a presence there that can take donations on behalf of the Scott Bunn Division.
Absolutely.
Boom. And
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Just to have that and create that relationship.
Because literally what I'm trying to do is create a community within this community that associates with me, and all these business partners have signed up, and I've got a 600 person client list, and all of that could then pour into things that you're doing.
And we are giving it directly back to our community.
Yeah.
This
is something I definitely want to be a part of. And I've talked to even, Katie.
Yeah.
I talked to Katie about,
love Katie Collins.
So I've talked to her about that, but maybe this will spur the action that needs to come together to actually make it put it in action.
Absolutely.
So to speak.
Yeah, and we're going to be changing new and big and better. Like we literally just met our new CEO yesterday, so we'll have more information on that and our new name. And we just moved buildings, so we're just around the corner, up and around the corner in Radford. Right. But we're all there together now, so all of our programs are in one place, and everybody can come and see us all together and get all of their needs met in kind of one place now. As well as we're still in all of the individuals' community as far as emergency assistance and Head Starts goes. So.
Is there anybody you would like to shout out, or any plugs?
Oh, I don't know. I think New River is pretty much my big plug. They're
definitely.
Our Causeway Community Action.
Causeway Community Action.
We're all working on this name change. So
yeah. I have big problems in the rebranding of things, but hey, I don't fault anybody for trying to do something new, and
we're giving it a shot. I think it's gonna take some adjustment. I mean, we've been in the community for a long time, and for those of us who know us, it's gonna be a big adjustment. But
I'm here to help with the rebrand.
Yeah, thank you.
So you guys just let me know if you need anything.
Oh, we definitely will.
We're at your disposal here.
Yeah.
And anything we can do to help, we want to be there for you.
Thank you, and I'm happy. I'm excited. So we'll do anything you want to do. Let's do it.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Accordi forte fai.